On this Junior's Gasoline Alley, we're going to be fixing a broken control arm on this Team Associated Rival MT10. So in this video, I'll show you the parts that are needed to take care of it, like the Rival suspension arms right here, as well as what it takes to actually get the job done. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you end up finding this helpful, as well as be sure to check the description for the parts and the tools that I use, links to purchase those as well. So let's go ahead, break into it, and get this thing fixed. So the first thing I'm going to do is just toss it on my stand here, which should make it a little bit easier to work on. And we're going to want to take the wheel off. So you've got this little cover on, that comes off. And then we can go ahead and lefty-loosey right on the wheel nut. With that off, the wheel's going to come out of the way, and now we're just left with this broken control arm and what we need to do to get it fixed. I want to disconnect our shock and the C-hub away from this arm. So to do that, we're going to need to use a nut driver on the back end of the arm to remove it from the C-hub. So this is going to be a 5.5 millimeter nut driver and then a 2.5 millimeter Allen. And so lefty-loosey, out is going to come this itty bitty nut, which we'll put to the side, and then we're going to be able to pull the whole pin all the way out and separate our whole hub, axle, that whole assembly away from it. Now the next piece we'll want to do is go ahead and undo the shock from the control arm. Which, to take that off, is going to be a 2 millimeter Allen. So just lefty-loosey. And that's the bolt that comes out. Now the shock can come separate from the assembly. And then with all that out, you'll see our last thing is our sway bar, which that has a small mount right down there, and that can actually be popped off using a flat blade screwdriver. So we'll go ahead, put the screwdriver behind the ball, just press forward. And your whole control arm assembly is going to come right out. Now you do have these brass bushings on the end, which we're going to want to save those for the next control arm to go in. Make sure you don't lose them. You can see this one's kind of coming apart. And then now we can flip the truck over, and this is going to give us an opportunity to work on getting the hinge pin assembly out. So to go after this hinge pin assembly, we're going to have a screw right in the front here, which is going to be our 2 millimeter. And we're basically just taking our skid plate off. A little bit further. So that's the screw that's coming off. And then you've got 2 more right on top. And with those off, our final 2 are going to be to disconnect the brush bar and the front bumper off of the front end of the truck. That way we can get at that hinge pin. Just like that. This is going to be able to rotate away. And then now we've got these 2 screws. And then now we've got these 2 screws on the front, which is going to allow us to get at that hinge pin. So now the hinge pin brace comes off, and you'll see the rest of our plastic control arm that broke comes right off as well. So these broke just in half like that. Quick hit, came apart. So now to replace it, we're going to use this part from Team Associated 25804 as our setup. Go ahead and open this up. And inside of here, this is going to come with a set of 4 for your entire truck. But all we need to do is find the one that matches. So in our case here, take a look. This must be a rear, and in fact has a BR for back right. And here we are, a front left. You'll see those two are going to match up. Now it does come with new brush guards here, but because the old one's fine, I'm going to go ahead and reuse that. That way I save the new parts in case they're needed in the future. So this is another 2mm nut. With that off, we'll then take the new arm and press that right onto the new arm. So that presses on. And then now we can slide this right onto the existing hinge pin. Slides into place. You can then take the mount and that's just going to push right back into place. Then we'll take our screws right back into place they go. And then we can take our brace and begin to install this as well. And then finally we can get the bumper screwed right back on. And from here, we'll flip the truck back over and we can begin to start putting our parts back together. So I'm first going to start with the sway bar. Get that in place. And then just press the sway bar right back on. Now we're all connected. Next thing we'll do is we'll take those little pieces of brass bushings and slide them into the control arm. And we can put this hub right back into place. Just like so. And the button end of that bolt goes towards the front, slides back, and we can take our little nut. This is a nylock nut, but we used it once. So I'll go ahead and put just a little bit of Loctite thread on. Just a dab on there. That way we know it's going to stay. And tighten these guys back up together. We're going to want this snug but not overly tight. Because what we want to be able to do is ensure that this arm is going to move freely which it is right now, which brings us to our last step of getting this back together, and that's putting our shock back into place. So we'll align the shock and slide it in, and take note of the position that you either had it on before or you have on your corresponding side. We're going to want to do the same. Just line that up. Once that's back together, we can see that the suspension is working as expected. So it's as simply as putting our wheel right back on. And just like that, it's that easy to get your Rival MT10 back on the road again for another good bash. Well, go ahead, let me know any questions you have down in the comment section below. While you're at it, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to leave a thumbs up by hitting that thumbs up like button if you enjoyed the video.